Hi, this is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Welcome to Morning Mindset Cafe, where today we are discussing Napoleon Hill's positive success through a positive mental attitude. It was written by Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone. I, in particular, have a hard copy here from 1969, and more specifically today, we are still on Chapter 4, titled Dare to Explore the Powers of Your Mind. And today's Morning Mindset Cafe is titled Day by Day I Get Better and Better. And it comes from the short story about Emil Coué. And we had referenced him yesterday I've got to move things around a little bit so that I can see myself and read and all the stuff. All right. He was referenced yesterday when we talked about Bill McCall. Remember Bill McCall, young man, failed at a few business attempts, read Think and Grow Rich, fourth time read through, got his aha moment about autosuggestion, about that which he's telling himself on purpose, regularly, every day, which is what led him to become a member of Parliament, chairman of the board of directors of Coca-Cola subsidiary in Sydney, Australia, in addition to being the owner of 22, or the director of 22 family-owned businesses. So he was wealthy, and it was he attributes it directly to the success principles, and more importantly, to his original aha moment with autosuggestion. Well, he learned about it through his father, who read a book about Emil Coué. So self-suggestion is synonymous with the term conscious autosuggestion. Okay. When McCall was a young boy, his father had benefited from a great discovery found in a book of his day. And we're talking the late 1800s here. A discovery that every man, woman, and child can employ when we figure it out for ourselves. Okay. Like Bill and his father, you and I, can properly employ the power of self-suggestion, conscious autosuggestion. It was revealed to Emil Coué because he dared to explore the powers of his own mind and the minds of others. Now, before he made this great discovery, he used hypnosis to cure physical illnesses of his patients. But after making his great discovery, which was in reality based on a simple natural law, he abandoned hypnosis. So how did he recognize this law? He found the answer to some questions he asked himself. Remember, one of the principles is accurate thinking, and accurate thinking involves asking questions, learning more. So he asked himself some questions, and they were, is it the suggestion of the doctor, or is it the suggestion in the mind of the patient that affects a cure? And the answer he came up with was, Coué proved conclusively it was the mind of the patient that subconsciously or consciously made the suggestion to which his own mind and body reacted, without either unconscious autosuggestion or conscious autosuggestion. External suggestions weren't effective, so it had to start in the patient's mind. The patient had to be on board and be suggesting to themselves that they were going to get better. Question number 2. If the suggestion of the doctor stimulates internal suggestion of the patient, external forces stimulate my thinking, why can't the patient use healthful, positive suggestions on himself? And why can't he refrain from harmful negative suggestions? So that answer came up pretty quick for him. Anyone, even a child, can be taught to develop a positive mental attitude. The method to do this is to repeat positive affirmations every day, such as, day by day in every way, through the grace of God, I'm getting better and better. Now, you can have that as a patient, someone who's recovering from an illness, someone who is currently ill. That can apply to any of us. It doesn't have to be that we're suffering from a physical illness. It's just a suggestion as a possible affirmation. The thing is, it's a self-motivator. And it tells me, which I'm hoping it tells you, the power that we have in our own mind to affect change in our own lives. The purpose of this book, actually, it goes on to say, is that if you don't know how to use your own self-suggestion, you will by the time we're done with this book. So we go into a story now of when death's door is about to open. There are over 300,000 children born to single mothers in the United States each year. Now remember the timing of this. This is when this was written was in the 1960s. So we know that the number's even more today, right? So you've got 300,000 children born out of wedlock in the U.S. each year, over 500,000 teenagers, over 1.5 million, 1.5 million teenagers are in penal institutions for thefts and other crimes. Those two things could be avoided if A, the parents learned how to employ suggestion properly, and B, if their sons and daughters were taught how to effectively use spiritual self-suggestion. So here's the crux of the matter. Were you taught this when you were a child? I wasn't taught this in terms of daily living. Well, I was taught this in terms of physical activity. You know, if I wanted to be better at the piano, I was going to practice every day because I loved playing and wanted to be better. Nobody had to tell me to practice, but I did it. But nobody told me what I should be telling myself each morning. So through the proper use of suggestion, these young people, and still today, right, the young people who are lost, they could be motivated to develop inviolable moral standards through their own conscious autosuggestion. And they would know how to neutralize or repel the undesirable suggestions of their associates in an intelligent manner. That's saying they know how to combat peer pressure, wouldn't they? Wouldn't we all? And doesn't that apply to us as adults? That by knowing how to put into action the use of self-suggestion, autosuggestion, feeding our subconscious mind, can help us repel that which we don't want in our lives, repel the negative people from our lives, become the magnet that repels those who want to bring us down or affect us in a negative way, and attract those who are like-minded, maybe on the same path, definitely who are supportive of the path that we're on. And that's how we can do it. It's through our attitude that is reflective of our emotions and our thoughts. So let's change our thoughts, which change our emotions, which change our attitude into a positive mental attitude, and attract those people we want around us. There's story after story in here. We have, let's see here. In times of emergency, when death's door is about to be opened, Ralph Wepner of Toowoomba, Queensland, Australia, he was a Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude course student. It was 1:30 in the morning, small hospital bedroom. 2 nursing sisters were keeping vigil beside Ralph's body. At 4:30, the afternoon before, an emergency call had been made to his family to rush to the hospital. When they arrived at his bedside, Ralph was in a state of coma as a result of a severe heart attack. The family was now out in the corridor, each one worrying or praying in his own special way. In the dimly lit hospital room, 2 nurses worked anxiously, one on each wrist, trying to feel a pulse, because Ralph had not come out of the coma during his entire 6-hour period. And the doctor had done all that he felt he could. So he had left the room, and he'd gone to visit one of his other patients. Now, Ralph couldn't feel, he couldn't move, he couldn't talk. Yet he could hear the voices of the sisters. And he could think quite clearly during portions of this period. So he says, he heard one sister excitedly state, "He's not breathing. Can you pick up a beat?" And the answer was no. Again and again, he heard the question and answer. Can you pick up a beat, a heartbeat? No. And he's thinking, well, I'm all right, but I must tell them. Somehow I must tell them. So at the same time, he was amused at the sisters for being fooled like that. He kept thinking, I'm quite all right. I'm not going to die, but how? How can I tell them that? Then he remembered the self-motivator he had learned. You can do it if you believe you can. You should think about that. You're lying in a coma and you're hearing people say, I can't feel a heartbeat. I can't find one. And yet you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, I'm still here. God, you guys just aren't pressing hard enough. I know me. That's what I'd be saying. You need to press harder on my veins. They're kind of hard to find. But how can I tell them to do that? How can I tell them I'm still here? So he's remembering that self-motivator. You can do it if you believe you can. Tried to open his eyes, and it really seemed like the more he tried, the more he failed. His eyelids wouldn't respond. He tried to move his arm, his leg, his head. He couldn't feel any reaction at all. In fact, he didn't feel a thing. Again and again, he tried to open his eyes until at last he heard the words, I saw one eyelid flicker. He's still there. So Ralph says he felt no fear. And he was still thinking how amusing it all was. And every once in a while, one sister called to him, are you there, Mr. Webner? Are you there? And he would try to respond by moving his eyelid to tell them he was all right. He was still there. And this went on for a considerable time, until finally, through constant effort, Ralph was at last able to open one of both eyes. And it was then that the doctor returned. And with his skill and persistence, he and his nurses were able to bring Ralph back to life. So it was the auto-suggestion, you can do it if you believe you can, that he had memorized from Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude Success course, right? It's called the Positive Mental Attitude Science of Success course that Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone taught. That's where Ralph learned you can do it if you believe you can. And it helped to rescue him when he was at death's door. So we think about this. We think about all the books we read and the thoughts we think all have an effect on our subconscious mind. And then there's those unseen forces that also have powerful effects. Even though they are subliminal, they're below the realm of consciousness. We know that they're there if we believe that there's a spiritual aspect to everything, of which I do. It's these unseen forces can be from known physical causes or from unknown sources. And we're not going to get into the unknown right now. There's other stories very similar to this about subliminal messaging and what that can do for us or to us or against us. And you're welcome to explore that yourself. But for right now, I really want to stick with the idea that today, one of the takeaways that we're going to have is that we're going to figure out what is it that we can tell ourselves throughout the day. What's a self-motivator that we can tell ourselves? Because we know we can, right? We know we're completely affected by, if we're continuously seeing the same message, whether it's external or internal, it's what we're going to believe. We talked about how constant exposure to news and what have you affects us. And that's why we turn the TV off or we ignore the news and we don't even look at headlines. Hi, Betsy.
Hi.
Good to see you this morning.
Too.
So what do you think? Let's talk about this.
So I was walking this morning, as I do, and I feel really great today. Maybe it has to do with having some fun with some good friends last night. Or people.
It was so good to see you.
Yeah.
It was so good to see you. We finally met, by the way, Betsy and I, and hugged, and it was terrific last night.
Yeah. And
good morning and welcome, Winona, Craig, and Rashim, and Christian, and Karen. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I know. Hi, everyone. So, I'm just, I always have so many thoughts running through my head. But, so this morning I'm walking and I'm thinking, like, I feel really good today. And why am I so happy? Why do I have to question that? Like, just be happy, right?
This is weird. I'm happy.
Like, I'm so happy. But it did have a lot to do with connecting, making connections last night and just, knowing that I can do more of that, connecting with people. And that was part of it. And just, good things happened this week. Um, and interesting for me, the whole money thing in my relationship and all of that with money that for me, anyway, so we sold our food trailer this week, and it's been about a
Mhm.
year that we've been, trying to sell it. And it isn't, I didn't even, really like touch the money. I touched some of it, but it's just like the thought of, wow, like we get to, pay this or do this, or, we're going on this trip, and now, like there's some cash, a little bit to work with, and just like that feeling you get. And I can tell myself that I feel good, and I can get that feeling when I want it if I access it, and I use this auto suggestion stuff, like with or without the money. You know what I mean? Like it's coming. I'm taking the action, like you talk about, like every day, this and that's happening. Okay, that's not happening, and this isn't. But focusing on what is, and then the gratefulness of, like, I have like so much in my life, and I don't see it every day. You know, I don't think about it enough every day. Like, wow, wow. Like what do I have to be unhappy about? So that's
And that's so true. And how often do we get caught up in that? A lot. And it's taking things for granted, and it's getting out of being mindful of being in the right now, which is difficult for me to do in some cases, because when I start thinking about what I'm doing now and how it's going to take me further down the road, right? So I have my eye on the prize down the road. And sometimes getting caught up in the doing of things gets me out of being present in the moment mentally, because I'm thinking I'm doing this now so that this will happen later. Yeah, last night we had talked about, Christy and I are planning a retreat for business people. And we're looking at possibly doing it down here in Florida, where you get away, literally retreat from the world for 2.5 days and focus on working on your business. And I'm only saying that because it seems that's kind of what we're talking about here is when we get into something too deep, we forget everything else around us. But if we're looking on and we look above and we're able to get a reality check, being mindful of where we are in the entirety is where it can really, really have impact, can't it? You've talked about that, about doing that when you walk.
mm, yeah. I mean, the whole idea is that we do have this powerful mind. And when we allow, I think instead of recognizing like that the thoughts then become, emotions and then become action, we go to that emotion and then we let it run us. Or, maybe,
Right?
maybe I do, but I think a lot of people do that. I would make up. And going back to what you said about, so we're always like, we're human beings, but we're always in the doingness part.
Right.
I even have
Right.
a colleague, because I'm a doula. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
DOULA, right? So she's like, it should be called a bila, not a doula, because indeed it's just being the presence, for the woman in the family. It's not even about doing. In fact, original studies that prove the effectiveness of the doula was just about a woman being present for another woman, just like being there in the room, maybe holding the hand. So,
And look how impactful and important that is.
uh,
And that is in an important part of a woman's life. Now think about how important it is for me and you as individuals and how it affects those who are in our lives.
exactly. And I learned this in my transformational training program, which I've mentioned in the past, that I was in this past year. And one of the very first premises was be, do, have.
Mm-hmm.
And I go back to that all the time. And I think Will, I mean, I want to call him Will, but his name's not Will. It's Will Bill Christian.
Christian.
Yeah, I don't
Yes, because you see his tagline or his idea: "See, will inspire."
exactly. So anyway, Christian, hey, you've talked about that. You know, in the I was going somewhere with that. But something
It's
reminded me.
it's okay.
Something.
the point is that that which we tell ourselves is important. It helps to, there's a difference between being mindful and being focused in something. Mindful brings in everything that's happening right now. Being present in the moment is saying that this is what I've heard you say and what I've heard others say and what I've experienced myself. I'm acknowledging and very aware of all that is happening around me. And it's not all about me. It's now me being a part of everything else. That's what the mindfulness is about. Whereas being focused is it's all about me and what's in front of me right now. And they each have their place, I believe. For me, they do. I cannot be in a state of constant mindfulness in that definition of it and get anything done. That's not how I work. Now, I also can't be so focused on getting things done and expect to have relationships with people because I'm not capable of that.
But I think if we start, or like for me, like if I start my day on, like I think about what I'm going to do and get done it, but then I have to step back and say, okay, how do I get to be? So I get to be focused. If these are the things I want to accomplish, I get to stay undistracted, or remove the shiny objects, or ignore them. But whatever it's going to take, if I'm determined to focus on something that I want to get done, or has to get done. At the same time, for me, I know when I'm really focused and it's something important to me, I'm in the flow and I am in the moment because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It just feels right. And then I'll say, oh, wow, like it's already, 2:00. Like what did I do? Well, it matters, but it doesn't. I mean, I was focused on whatever it was that I wanted to focus on.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So how do we get to that point? I think we can get to that point, and I think we can get there pretty quickly if we have our own, in the book we're calling them self-motivators. Oftentimes we hear them as affirmations, self-talk, but other people call them trigger phrases or trigger words. Something that we can tell ourselves every single day to keep us going in the direction we want to go, or to help us get where you're talking about, where you can see now that it's going to happen. The games are going to sell. The money is going to come. You're in motion. It's happening now, and it's going to happen bigger. And you know that. To get to that point, you had to tell yourself to keep doing something, to keep moving forward, whatever those affirmations were, whatever those self-motivators are. And I think each one of us can benefit from having a phrase that works for us. Similar to what Emil Couey was talking about, each day by day, I get better and better. That's with a physical health thing, right?
Yeah.
What I did to heal my body, the intense focus that it took, it was going to happen. You will get better. This will happen. That's basically what my motivators were.
Yeah,
this will happen. You will get better, and this is how it's going to happen. And but it worked. It worked for me at that time. It won't work. It's not working quite that way this time. It's a different scenario, right? So,
but that's the most powerful, I believe, with physical health. I believe the example of yourself and the one you gave, because that really shows, like my yoga teacher will talk about the mind-body connection all the time, with the breath.
Mm-hmm.
But indeed, the mind is so powerful that it can tell, the body that like you will recover, because it's connected.
If it's recoverable, yes.
I mean, was it the doctor? It was the guy was laying in bed like, I'm doing this. I hear them and I am going to rise and I, will survive. Yeah. That is so powerful. And that, I think that for me, or to me, that's you. Let's just talk about you. That's a powerful example with your physical, medical situation that you were faced with.
Mm-hmm.
You said, no, I'm not going to go on all those drugs. Like, that is not going to be my life.
Oh, I was on them. I'm not going to stay on them.
Yeah, well, I mean, you did what you had to do. You wanted to get better. You wanted to feel good. You wanted to live, right? You had the real strong will to live, and that's another thing, you know. But I think those examples are powerful. Like my example of I will make the money, I will sell the games. It's the same thing. It's being positive, but you're talking about, you know, living versus dying and how
The
powerful.
same principle applies, though.
Yeah,
The same principle applies. It's just not as intense.
Yeah, exactly.
The outcome isn't as intense. And honestly, I can tell you that the outcome for my business isn't as intense and as important as it was when I was trying to change my health. And yet I'm told that, and we are told in books like this and Think and Grow Rich, it should be. It should be that intense. It needs to be that intense in order for it to happen. And it makes me think, how important is it to me? It's very important. Is it important enough that I am willing to do whatever it takes every single day in order for it to happen?
Exactly.
And because it's not life and death, as you said, I forgot to do that this morning. Yeah, well, that's one of the things that successful people don't allow to happen. We don't allow it.
Right.
The discipline comes into play here. Another principle of success is discipline. So if we're going to be telling ourselves something every single day, as that auto-suggestion, the trigger, the self-motivator, whatever that is that needs to happen, it has to happen every single day.
Yes. Discipline is key. And also for me, you know, when you were talking earlier about, you know, yes, it's going to happen, and, you know, it's going to come, and, you know, money, sales, and all that. She's smiling at somebody.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
okay.
I'm a member of the house. No, June.
Oh, it's June. Hi,
yeah,
June.
Lovely June. She walked by.
Beautiful person.
She is. She's a lovely lady.
Yeah. So the other thing for me though is I am not afraid to ask for support, even if it's somebody saying, you know, Betsy, you got this. Like my husband, I mean, he's my biggest cheerleader, but honestly, I wouldn't be here because that doubt would have led me rather than, wait a minute, like, what are you doing there? You got this.
Left to my own devices, right? Which is why we gather every morning here.
Exactly. It's like a
reminder. It's a little pick-me-up for me. It keeps me focused. And the mornings that I really don't want to do this because I haven't had enough coffee, or it's like, oh, I'm tired. That hadn't happened too often, but it does happen, right? I've got one with a Native American Indian rendering of horses, which is awesome. But when it does happen, the discipline that happens to me, honestly, is, listen, I said I would be there. Yeah. I have to show up. I committed to it.
Exactly.
That's how I work. When I say I'm going to be someplace, I'm there. And if I'm not, there's a darn good reason. It's technical. It's, physical. It's dated ahead of time. It's stated ahead of time that in some cases, like for team meetings and others, I'm not going to be there. There's a possibility because of a client, but to tell ahead of time because other people are involved. But for me, I made a commitment. So that's an exercise in discipline that no matter what I think, feel, or believe when I wake up, I'm going to be here.
Well, and that's being
guys are here because you're here. And I've also said that nobody shows up. That's the day I'll stop doing this.
Right. Right. And obviously there's enough people that are getting, benefiting from what you have to say and share, and we're learning from each other.
Yeah.
And
that's the biggest thing, is that's what I love is that we're learning from each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just looking over at some of the comments.
Oh, we've got some great things happening from Karen. Karen has started her book.
Oh, nice.
Because she says that this blab has motivated her to write the first page of her book.
Oh,
and she can't believe she's doing it. Of course, we can believe she's doing it because we know people do this.
That's awesome.
And she's saying she was overwhelming herself and overthinking it.
Yeah. You told me that last night, something I was doing. Don't overthink it. You and Christy were both like, don't overthink it.
Yeah, I was like, you had it in stereo, didn't you?
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, whoa. But it's true.
Well, and Karen's got it. It's one word at a time, one page at a time, one piece at a time. right? She decided to do a Facebook Live and Periscope. Oh, really?
Good.
She's going to do it daily for 30 days to settle into the rhythm of her vision. I love that. Love
That's
that.
great.
Charlene and everyone here have no idea how this has been a blessing, like-minded people. Oh, thank you. I'm just glad you found us. We're happy to have you with us here.
But it's true, finding those like-minded people. Somebody was talking about on your show the other day about the naysayers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had plenty of those. You know, I had a friend of mine's husband. I cannot hang out with him anymore. I mean, I'm sorry, but he was being so negative about the game. Oh, I tried to do that, and this, and I was just like, I love you, but I don't, you know, thank you, but
No, thanks. You're not contributing.
I just was, and you know, I mean, I love him. He's a good guy, but it's just like the negativity. I just could not, you know, couldn't deal with it.
Well, listen, if nothing else, we're going to divert slightly from this morning, kind of. Betsy can take with her the recording she has of 4 women playing her game, none of whom were pregnant, and having a ball.
Yeah, that was really fun, actually.
I loved it. I was learning things. I loved it because I was learning something. So, and then the others, we just got to giggling and laughing so much. It's a fun game. You know, it's fun. And for we, who isn't even her target market, to enjoy, like, you know, that's all you have to take with you is you take that recording and say, hey, look, listen, I got women here that were thoroughly enjoying this. You can too.
Yeah, and you know what was great too was that definitely fueled my excitement and my belief in this whole vision for my trip, you know, for going to all the cities and putting together. I'm, you know, I have a number in mind. You know, I want to get at least 10 to 20 people at each event, and whatever will be, I've been, you know, marketing and strategizing and reaching out. But the whole thing is that whoever shows up, we're going to have fun, and I will sell some games. You know, I have a number in mind.
So listen to the triggers. Are you listening to the self-motivators there? Whoever shows up, we're going to have fun. That's good. That's number one. And somebody's going to buy the game.
Oh, yeah. I'm not.
How's that for motivators, right?
Yeah, I will sell rather than. I said something the other day. I was so negative. My husband catches me. You know, we sold the food trailer, and it's like, yeah, it's cash, which is awesome. You know, on the flip side, we have a lot of debt. You know, it is what it is. And so it's like, okay, which debt's going to get paid? Please save me, you know, some cash for the trip, you know. And then it's like, oh, I'm so lucky. But I said, oh, and then we get to, you know, rack up the cards again. He's like, wait a minute, don't say that, you know. It's like this repeated pattern. And so that's
Do not. Yeah, because you're right. You say, well, once we reduce the balance, then we have more to spend. Well, then you're going to spend more.
Right.
You just are. So you change the saying. Change what you're saying to, we're going to pay this down so we have a zero balance. We're going to pay this down so we have a zero balance.
Right.
Let's pay this down so it says zero. And you get used to saying that. You're not going to want to spend any more on it.
Yeah, that's what I get to do.
I love that.
Yeah, I get to shift off of that. It's like, but I feel like, and I don't know if it happens to anybody else, you know, ask you know, have that repeated pattern or that software that runs. You know, it's a challenge. Stop yourself and change it.
It is.
Reporting and fire the committee and hire a new one.
I know. I know. I had to find new people, though, and that was part of it, too, was had I tried to do this a couple of years ago, I don't know if I would have been as successful with it. I don't know if I could have replaced everybody. I don't know if I could have. So Kieran's saying she's been wearing dresses and suits to work, and her coworkers think she's going on interviews, and she's laughing, saying, nope, I'm dressing for where I'm going, not where I'm at. It's a mindset. Love that. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Talk about an affirmation, a daily affirmation, a motivator. It isn't even words, is it? It is putting on a particular suit of clothes. And that right there makes the statement for her when she looks in the mirror. I'm going. This is where I'm going. That you've got it, Karen. That's exactly what we're talking about here. I mean, and that helps with the thinking, because it started with the thinking. You decided that this is how I'm going to dress. Now you're doing it every day. That's it in a nutshell. We don't have to complicate it.
Yeah, right. You don't have to make it. I was thinking back to you asked something earlier about what we can tell ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
each day to help us stay on that positive. And I forget to look at it sometimes, but I do have taped on my mirror in the bathroom. It's actually the principles of Reiki,
Okay.
energy healing, but they're basic. Like just for today, do not worry. Just for today, do not anger. Just for today, um, I don't know the exact words. Honor your parents and elders. Just for today, uh, conduct your business
Mm-hmm.
in ethic and
It's
justice.
like a morning mindset,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's just like yeah, just
Just
simple.
today. Just
Just
for today.
today.
Just for right now. This is what my focus is. Just for today. And that's what we're talking about day by day. Because I can't do the action tomorrow. I can
Right.
do the action today. I can think about tomorrow and know that the actions I take today are the small steps that are going to get me to the big successes tomorrow and next year and the year after. Like I said, planning. Actually, Christy and I now are planning 3 events. The first one is in October,
Oh,
and that's in Louisville. The next one is the mastermind that I want to plan sometime next year, either definitely in our area, a regional one, and sometime next year, definitely something like that for down here in Florida. So now we've got 3. Well, can't do a darn thing right now, and not planning to do anything right now about those, simply because it will detract us from what we are here for, right? Well, that's part of it. We're here to have a good time. We're here to do business,
yeah.
but it's not part of what our day is. It's been written down. We know we'll get to it, so we don't have to obsess on it. We can get done what needs to get done today, and because today is what's important, and what we do today and what I do today and how I think today and how I act has an effect on tomorrow, has an effect on next week. So if I ignore that which needs to be done today, there's a problem, and it's going to come up to bite me in a week, maybe 2 weeks, right? So yeah, we've got plans, so you set them aside because they don't need to be tended to right now.
Yeah, that's a good point because I can get caught up in that. I have an example of that too because I posted something in one of my groups about my game trip, and somebody posted back, "Oh, come to Memphis after Birmingham or something," and I said, "Well, I can get there, but not on this trip." And then it went back and forth to, yeah, like we have a house for a retreat. These midwives I know, blah blah. I'm like, yeah, let's make it happen. Let's do a day, something or other. So you just never know where one thing's going to lead.
Right. And you can pencil that in. And then you can pencil in that now I can start planning on that. And that's the way we're going to do our events.
Right.
Is we're not taking today to start hammering out details of any one of them.
Right. It's not
No, it's not. But we'll start penciling in, and then we'll outline. I mean, the one in October, she's got a handle on, and it's pretty much outlined how that's going to work. It's the ones next year that I threw on her. I said, all right, so this is what I really want to do. If you want to be a part of it, that's great. If not, I'll find somebody else. It's not something that I'm going to be able to do by myself. And I don't, because I could, but that makes me the center of the focus, and it needs to be the attendees. And for their benefit of what I have visioned, it's going to take more than me to be able to give them what they need. So Christy's a great one to bring on board for that. And there's somebody else that'll be a great one to bring on board for that. So, but not right now. That's as far as it's gone.
Yeah, it's going to happen. If you say it's going to happen, it will. You
Oh, it will.
declared. We are.
That's it. I have no doubt it'll happen and it will go well. But in order for that, which I said that same thing about, right, which is this trip, it will happen. It already is. Yep, happen, and it will go well. And so far, it's great. The amount of time I've spent outside, just call me Rosie.
I can attest to that. Oh wow.
Oh yeah. This is just. I won't need blush for all this week. Trust me. Nothing hurts. But you think this is red? Now you should. I would show you my arm, but I can't get it rolled up high enough.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm a witness.
we're cool. Nothing hurts,
That's
and it'll all go away in about 3 days. Nobody will know I've been to Florida. I might have a couple of freckles up here. But that's not the point. The point is that which we had planned is happening.
that's the cool thing. Like
And we're enjoying what's in the moment. And we made changes through the days. But it was changes that were perfectly okay to be made. We consulted with each other and said, yeah, this is okay, this is better. This is better that we do it this way, or we go this route, or we go do this thing. And that's just it. That's what it means to stay in the day, to stay in the moment while you are experiencing the success of a well-laid plan, which is what we're doing. And it looks like vacation, but we're working. Heck, I got a response to a proposal this morning. It's like, yes, got a contract. It looks like a contract for a year's worth of work. Hey, that's awesome. All right. It was 6 months ago.
Well, you're out on the boat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was on a boat. Well, see, that's the beauty of the kind of business that I have. I don't have to be in an office every day. I just don't. I love being location independent. So, yeah, I got to, what this means is that 6 months ago made a proposal, knew it was going to be a long sales cycle simply because of the kind of business that it is. Got the message this morning. By the end of this month, we're going to be ready to go. When can we begin? And that's what I've been waiting for. All right. Well, let me check production schedule, and I'll get back. And I'll do that later today.
Yeah.
Right? So that's work. I'll do that, and I'll send an email, and we can do everything online. I send the contracts, and we're good to go. Also got, an email this morning from somebody and a text message that said, when you have an opportunity, I'm ready to move forward with this project. Let's go. Now, in addition to that, just so you know, because I do run online businesses, I also have messages that say, you've been paid. You've been paid. You've made a sale. You've made a sale. So, and there I sat yesterday getting rosy on an airboat. So
I know. That's, but that all goes back to like the auto suggestion work. What is work? What does it look like? We tell ourselves in this country in particular that work is you've got to be at the grind, from 9 to 5, and be productive and be the doing. And indeed, there's doingness, but work doesn't have to be this hard.
It doesn't. But also know that this is 8 years of continuous, and I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping, right? I'm telling you, I'm still working. I'm still making the calls. I'm still doing sales. I'm still, trainings, all the stuff that I do. That's why I do it. But it's on my schedule, and it's the way I work and how I want to work. I don't want to be completely hands off. I love the interaction like I have here this morning. So I've designed my business the way it works for me. And it's very different than you are correct, than I was raised to do. I was raised to suit up, show up, and smile at an office job.
Sit down, shut up, and
And that didn't really work well for me.
That didn't work well. It didn't work well for me either. I've tried it a few times. It's like I guess I'd rather be carrying at the moment anyway. A little bit of debt to move forward to where I really want to be than to be a slave.
Oh yeah, I've had it. I have some now. It's the flow. It's the flow of business. It's flow of cash flow. I can be completely debt free within a matter of maybe about 2 months if I really put my nose to it. It's just I've decided that I prefer this method of what I'm doing. So what are we doing today? Let's bring it back to today. See if anybody in the site has more takeaways. Affirmations. What works for you? Is it a phrase? Is it a word? You don't have to share the phrase or the word, but I know some people have a single word. That's all they have to say to themselves, and they've changed their state. They've gotten their focus back. It's, And other people have phrases that they say every morning. Like you have that saying, or almost like a poem, isn't just for today, like a morning mindset poem.
Yeah.
What's going to happen just for today? And if you don't have one, I always have the book. And this is in the book, chapter 4, and it says self-motivators, right? God is always a good God. Day by day in every way, through the grace of God, I am getting better and better. Okay? Have the courage to face the truth. What the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Every adversity has the seed of a greater benefit. You can do it if you believe you can. It's all dependent on where we are right now, isn't it?
Yes.
Where are we right now that we need to hear and we need to remind ourselves of? That's why I think affirmations work, because they're auto-suggestion, they're self-suggestion, but we have to pick the ones that actually fit us right now to get us, like Karen was saying, let me dress now for what I'm going to be, where I'm going to be. Let me say now where I want to be.
Yes.
And then, Cindy's asking, what does work look like, Miss Betsy? On the same side, what do I want work to look like? I get to decide how I define work. I will have to process that and focus on that concept more. It is, it's difficult to grasp. It is, if you're of any age past 20. Just because by then you've already been told the structure of school and told by your own family what work looks like. And to change that, because of what you're seeing everybody else do. Here's something that happens to me. We were driving. God, I love road trips. So we drove down here. It was a 14-hour drive. That is not it. That's part of the trip. And we got stuck in some rush hour traffic in Nashville, Tennessee. We just relaxed. I'm not in a hurry. Are you in a hurry? No, I'm not in a hurry. Well, look at that. Boy, they look pissed off. Not me. Because and then the memories came back, right? Of being so angry. Everybody's in my way. You're in my way. I really need to get to work. It doesn't do any good. But so caught up in I have to be someplace for somebody else. They're going to dock my pay. I remember those days, being an hourly worker many, many years ago, they're going to dock my pay if I don't show up, or I can't blame traffic again. Unknown construction happened. And yet that traffic's there every single day. The stress of not wanting to go to where I had to go in order to make the money was what got me so wound up and so uptight and angry with the traffic. Had nothing to do with traffic. Evidenced by, we just relaxed and said, okay, we have traffic. Well, okay, Christopher, look at you. Got to go. Chris from Blog Guys with a Z. Blog Guys with a Z. Thanks for coming, Christopher. Appreciate you being here. So that there's the difference. There's the difference of doing what it is you want to be doing, right? That's it. You want to be doing, we were doing what we want to do. We talked business. We were still working. And yet it didn't matter what the environment was around us. We weren't, because we both have designed our work to work for us, right? So yeah, it's interesting, but it takes, you got to surround yourself with people who are doing this to understand how to do it yourself. Because a lot of times what happens with home-based business owners is they still bring the employee mindset, which is, I need to be doing something from 8 to 5 every day. Yeah. I have to do this way. Or then they get used to, well, just do it when you can. So now it's unstructured, completely unstructured. I found what works for me, and that's what I'm happy about.
Yeah, I find myself getting into that sometimes. Still telling myself, I can't quit yet because it's not, 4 o'clock. Yes, I can. Like, if I need a break, I can take a break. Screen, my eyes are buggy. How much longer can I, stay there?
Exactly.
For a while, I have that little, like other mind or something.
That's it. That's it. All right. So we can also have statements, phrases, words that can jar us, right? That can get us out of the what you just described, looking at the watch and say, I can't stop now. Well, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can do it. Something as simple as that will work. So again, let's not complicate this. What can we say every day? I gave you some examples, right, from the book, some examples of my own of what I say throughout the day. Um, Betsy's shared a few of hers. I want to know if you guys have any takeaways, those in the chat area, if you have any takeaways for today, what it sounds like to you to have a phrase or a word, or anything else that we've talked about auto-suggestion and self-suggestion.
You know what? Sometimes I do this in the morning, like right when my eyes open and I'm laying in bed, I do this.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, just
it's like get the face used to smiling.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a little wacky, but I know somebody I think told me about it, and I said, yeah, well, it makes sense. I'm going to be happy today. I'm going to,
Well, I admit the first thing I did was to see if anything hurt.
Yeah, well, sometimes I do that too. I just feel
it's like,
oh
my God. And then I went up to my forehead and said, oh, call me Rosie. Yeah, but it doesn't hurt. Yeah, that doesn't hurt. But it's like, no, I'm good. Hey. So nothing from the side? Because I want to make sure that if you have something that you want to share with us about what you can take away, I want to make sure that we hear you.
I'm always open for more suggestions.
Yes. Well, what really fills my heart, and Karen's had to leave, I think, it's hard to tell on Blab sometimes who's here and who's not, was her sharing the positive impact our room has had on her.
That's awesome.
She's actually able to get something started that hadn't.
Yeah.
Right?
That's beautiful. That's really awesome.
That's good stuff.
You're having that impact on people's lives, really.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And I'm glad she shared that with us. Alrighty then. So it's the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and close out the recording. Thank you, Betsy, for joining me in the live stream. Thank you for the great discussion in the chat area. And those watching, it's a pleasure to have you with me, as always. Those watching the replay, thanks for sticking with us this long. This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouKnow.com. Let's move forward with the day on purpose, with purpose, to grow our hearts, grow our minds, and grow our businesses. Until next time, have a great day.